From my personal experience leading digital transformation in municipality of Milan, we saw how data and digital services could make government more responsive and especially more inclusive. That there is not a best or the worst. There is a balance. On one side, we can't stop digitization, we can't stop the boost of technology and the acceleration. We should not consider the AI challenge as refer only to big organization or small organization or public companies or NGOs or academia or everything. I could testify that women are still a very small percentage of tech population, and this is a problem. It's a huge problem.
Welcome to the Regulating AI podcast, the podcast dedicated to shaping responsible, ethical, and trustworthy AI practices and policies worldwide. I'm your host, Sanjay Puri, and today we are honored to welcome a truly remarkable guest who brings a unique multi-sector perspective to AI governance and policy. Roberta Cocco is a distinguished expert in digital transformation and female empowerment who spent her career bridging the public and private sectors. Currently, she's serving as senior advisor to Classidra Private Equity and academic fellow at Luke University. Roberta brings over 25 years of experience from Microsoft, where she became the National Plans Development Director for Western Europe. But most notably for our audience, Roberta served as Deputy Mayor for Digital Transformation and Citizen Services in Milan from 2016 to 2021, where she revolutionized how one of Europe's most important cities delivers digital services to its citizens. Welcome to the Regulating AI podcast, Roberta.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here with you and to share my experience with you.
Wonderful. Roberta, we have a global audience. Our audience is policymakers, think tanks, AI entrepreneurs, civil society members from around the world. So for them, you've written a lot about digital democracy and you implemented it at a city level. How do you see AI changing the relationship between citizens and government, and what governance frameworks are necessary to maintain democratic accountability?
Okay, let's start with a kind of statement. Artificial intelligence has the potential to both strengthen and challenge democratic institutions. From my personal experience leading digital transformation in municipality of Milan, we saw how data and digital services could make government more responsive and especially more inclusive. However, artificial intelligence adds complexity because systems that automate decision-making can also obscure accountability and reduce transparency if not managed in the proper way. And so we definitely need a governance framework that ensure explainability, auditability, and especially that maintain human oversight. I think that transparency in artificial intelligence framework is not an option, is fundamental, because it gives us the assurance that the development will be always made by human touch.
So development is always made by humans, which is, I think, an important point. Roberta, you have now worked across 12 European countries and you serve on the Italian government and advisory committees. As you know, the EU passed a comprehensive AI Act last year, which probably is the most comprehensive AI policy around the world. According to you, because there have been many different viewpoints about it. What aspects of that AI Act work well, and where do you see the gaps?
Okay. As you told, the European AI Act is a groundbreaking attempt to balance innovation on one side with risk management. And its risk-based approach provides legal clarity and also a kind of support for governments and different countries. In this regard, we must acknowledge that the EU had moved early, working on the AI Act since 2021, so ahead of the AI revolution explosion. So European countries understood very early that we definitely need a framework to help all the countries to be aligned on the most important topics around AI. However, unfortunately, let me say, enforcement structures remain fragmented. I believe that we need stronger interdisciplinary oversight beyond privacy, covering other aspects which are very, very important, such as ethics, data life cycle, and also societal impact. And so, in my personal view, a more coordinated supervisory body is essential. In Italy, we are trying to implement the EU Act, trying to understand that we definitely need an overall framework, but at the same time, we need to understand which are the local needs and if are the local duties that we have to respect. And so Italy's approach shows that countries can add the value without deviating from EU alignment. And trying to do this, we can also embed cultural and constitutional principles. So my view is we definitely need an overall framework, and we need an act. And this act was built on the level of risks, which is very important, especially for organization. On the other side, we have to respect every country and local cultural needs. And so the best work to do should be to work together to define a common framework, but at the same time to respect local needs and local regulation.
So, Roberta, just to follow up, because uh, as you said, it's a risk-based act, but you're saying it's a good start. Obviously, they started very early um, in 2021 or so. But your concern is about enforcement and also respect for local culture and customs and tradition. One of the criticism of the EU AI Act outside the EU and within the EU is this whole dilemma of innovation versus regulation. Uh, the worry is that a lot of the innovative AI companies, startups, etc., within Europe might leave because of a strong regulatory framework. When you see the former Prime Minister of Italy, Mario Draghi, he talked about maybe some of the regulations might be stifling innovations. What are your thoughts in terms of this discussion that is going on about the EU AI Act, the balance between innovation, entrepreneurship versus regulation?
That's a very interesting topic. After my experience as a deputy mayor in the city of Milan, I had the privilege to work 20 months for the Draghi government. I was in the staff of the Minister of Innovation and Digital Transformation. So I was I was attending this discussion, and it's quite interesting to see that there is not the best or the worst. There is a balance. On one side, we can't stop digitization. We can't stop the boost of technology and the acceleration of, for example, artificial intelligence usage. On the other side, we have to maintain a kind of regulation. But this regulation should not at all prevent from the development of innovation. If not, it will be a terrible and negative boomerang against public and private organizations. So the idea is to define a real balance between the 2 points. Work for defining a positive approach to the development of technology, especially artificial intelligence. Defining borders that should not be, a prison for creativity or idea. On the other side, we have to support all, the range of companies, because what we risk is that big companies can be very smart in surfing innovation and developing projects, using artificial intelligence for the best of their business. On the other side, small and medium companies are still suffering from lack of skills. And so we shouldn't offer them alibi for preventing the usage of technology. If not, they will be very soon out of the market, out of the business. So I do not think there is a perfect receipt. I think there should be a kind of balancing approach with regulation and also capacity of innovation.
So you're saying, you're saying there has to be a balance between regulation and innovation, which, as you know, is a hard balance, but it is being done. From moving from the EU to the Italian perspective, Roberta, everybody talks about that Europe has incredible AI talent. Italy has a very good AI talent. How is the AI ecosystem growing in Italy right now?
This is another very interesting topic, because we should not consider the AI challenge as refer only to big organization or small organization or public companies or NGOs or academia or everything. In my personal view, the most correct approach should be a kind of holistic approach. We should work to build up an ecosystem that can leverage the best of every single component. So let me introduce the theme of public-private partnership in this kind of development. 25 years in Microsoft taught me the power of collaboration. We need shared sandboxes, co-regulatory models, and innovation pacts between institutions and companies. And let me add another stakeholder, which is NGOs, because we, in Italy especially, we leverage NGOs' capability, for example, for sharing digital culture. And so in my idea, the best approach should be to define a real and concrete ecosystem platform. And something that I usually mention when I speak about public-private partnership, PPP, I really would like to add another P, which is platform-based public-private partnership, which means we should be very careful in defining rules to share data, to share information, to share how to develop the best technology to surf AI wave, but we really can make the difference only if we work together, if we build up a real ecosystem. And in this ecosystem, all of the components would get their own value. This is the only way. If we separate public from private, NGOs from citizen, academia from, rest of people, I do not think we will get our goal.
So you're saying we should have all of the stakeholders together, whether it is academia, companies, civil society, etc., which is very, very important. Roberta, you created the Milan Digital Week to showcase Italy's innovation ecosystem. So when you look at the early stage startups versus large enterprises, should AI policy or rules differ for them, in your view?
Yes. I think that proportionate regulation is key. We cannot treat small and large companies the same way at all. Startups often lack compliance resources, regulatory sandboxes, and phased obligations could allow innovation without compromise. However, in my opinion, ethical standards must be not negotiable across the board. It's clear that if you have a small company, if you are a startup, maybe if you are a group of very young people, you do not have all the elements. You do not have all the skills. Maybe you have a great idea. Maybe you are amazing at, developing something. You know technology because you are digital natives. But at the same time, you don't know the business scenario, the business world. And so I think that here again, a kind of generation partnership between, young and more adult people, small companies and big companies, in order to leverage the best from everyone. And the regulation should be shaped in order to address their own needs. One example that gets to my mind is the European GDPR experience. The regulation takes proportionality into account, allowing some flexibility for small and medium enterprises. For example, partial exemptions from maintaining records of processing activities for organizations with fewer than 250, I think, employees. So you can manage the regulation in order to address specific needs, not one by one, of course, but considering the different level and also the maturity of a company. Startups are very different from medium businesses or small businesses and big companies. finance sector is different from manufacturing. And so I think that we definitely need a kind of overall regulation, but we have to respect the differences in different businesses.
So what you're saying is have regulation, but have it in a proportionality perspective. So, for different regulations for different kind of entities, for smaller companies versus bigger companies. Um, Roberta, you had an initiative, STEM in the City, where you championed female participation in technology. And then there is this whole issue of digital divide, and we just talked about um, where you see when you look at social media, it's controlled by five, six, seven companies, and it seems like you could have a concentration of power as far as AI is concerned, whether it is in those same companies or similar five, six companies. So the question really that I want to ask you is they're twofold. One is how do you make sure that this concentration of AI does not end up again in a few companies that are based in California, and make sure that there is an access to that technology for all kinds of companies around the world, but also because of your participation and your promotion of female participation in technology, how should one make sure there is equitable access to AI benefits across different demographics, whether it's male, female, city, village, global south, global north? So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I think that digital inclusion is should be one of the scope of the development of innovation. So in many countries, and Italy is one of them, we still have a huge digital gap. And this digital gap is a huge problem. It's a huge problem for companies, is a huge problem for governments, is a huge problem for citizens. Why? Companies are not finding the talents and the skilled people they look for their own business, because there are no enough trained people with certain up skills, and specifically AI or data scientist or architect, tech architect or something. For the government, because public sector is, I think, is running very fast for digitization all over the countries, especially in Italy. During the last, let me say, 10 years, public sector has improved significantly the capacity of developing digital services and so on. But if you develop digital services and you are a government, any kind of public sector, you have to be sure that all citizens might benefit from it. And you really have to think to all of your population. And, in Europe, we have the DESI, the DESI, so it's the Digitization Index, which is still a problem, because it looks like that less than 40% of citizens have basic digital literacy. That means that if you are a municipality, if you have a government and you are developing services, but 40% of your population couldn't even approach those, that's a total failure. As people, if you do not have basic digital skills, you might be out of the democracy of your place, of your city, of your country. So there is a huge problem. What we are doing in Italy with the previous government, we set up a fund which is Repubblica Digitale Fund, so Fondo per la Repubblica Digitale, which is a significant amount of money, which was shared to regions, and the regions shared with municipalities, and municipality enrolled NGOs to share digital country all over the country, digital culture all over the country. You mentioned Milano Digital Week, which is one of my heart project in my previous job, and which is still ongoing thanks to the new person who is in charge of digitization in Milan. And this was another attempt to use a week. You know, Milan is very famous for Fashion Week, for Design Week, and we decided to have also a digital week, and we called private companies, NGOs, students, teachers, all the city to share their expertise, to offer some skills to, you know, less empowered people. On the gender gap, let me also give you my point. In all the roles I covered in my career, in the private sector and the public sector, I had something in mind, which is having been, have worked for so many years in the ICT sector, I could testify that, you know, women are still a very small percentage of tech population. And this is a problem. It's a huge problem because, for example, in developing AI services, if you develop from a certain point of view, what you will get will be something with the same bias of the developer. It's so easy because, you know, there is no technology with bias. But if you only select a group of population to develop any kind of service, you know, the result will be directly connected to the person who developed it. So to have more girls, more women in the tech area means that we have a more balanced value, and we also can offer more creativity and, of course, more empowerment to women. So during my career, I tried to, you know, organize as many projects as possible to share the value of technology to girls in order to make them consider STEM studies in their career, no matter if they want to be a lawyer or a teacher or a tech, but to have a kind of tech capacity, tech skills would definitely help them in their career.
So obviously making sure that technology and STEM is early part of, especially in terms of women's education, to bring some parity in there, I think is what you're saying. In terms of the concentration, and we talk about a little bit about the concentration of, you know, we talked about the digital divide. Now people are worried about the AI divide. But what about the concentration of AI companies within a few handful of those companies? Is that something that worries you, or is that something that would have any implications for startups or other companies in Europe?
That's a tough question, and you're right. Sorry if I didn't answer you before. Of course, it's quite let me say, at least strange that most of the tech companies come from a certain area. I think that it should come from, far from now, because there was a specific need of tech development for certain areas and a certain sector. Europe is trying to understand how to face this phenomenon. We also have some other, or we have different capacity. For example, we don't feel to be second place on creativity or capacity to get the talents from the academia, or getting the best of our students and our companies. I think that it's quite tough from European side to face these big tech companies who are managing this sector. On the other side, I think that we can balance this kind of hegemony, I don't know which is the right word, in making those companies work with the local rules. So European Commission has a special component to interface these companies in order to make them aware of the local rules and the local needs. There are many local companies setting partnership for specific areas, so taking the local needs to the big companies and trying to develop something together. In the short time, I do not see the capacity from Europe to, develop something that can face these big, international companies. At the same time, having worked for Microsoft for so many years, I have seen the capacity of big companies to work with the local countries, work with local communities, to respect the laws, and to be, accountable for the value of the business. And I think this is the most important thing.
So in the short duration, obviously Europe might not have an answer for some of these bigger companies, but maybe in the longer run, they could be. Roberta, generally, Milan, obviously, you've done the Digital Week, Milan Digital Week, and obviously it is growing an ecosystem per se. If, there are cities in the global south that are looking to adopt AI, what lessons do you think from Milan would you suggest they apply within the global south? Because that's a big challenge when you look across Asia, Africa, or even some other places as the world is looking towards AI.
Yeah. Okay. I believe that Milan has several lessons learned to share. First of all, the value of user centricity. When we developed services to citizens, we put the person at the center. And this is not just, a slogan. This is something that was the polar star of our development. So first of all, user centricity. Second, as I mentioned, public-private partnership. On one side, public can really make things happen because they can define rules, define laws. On the other side, private sector has the tools, has the skills, and so only the mixture of the two can really make projects up and running. And third, in my opinion, is attention to digital sustainability and inclusion, let me say. So I think that one of the lesson that we can share is co-design services with citizens and work to invest in foundational infrastructure, digital infrastructure, and also define clear governance model, especially when you work with public-private partnership. You have to define who is accountable for the time frame, the investment, the KPIs, the results that you want to achieve, and how you will measure those results. If you develop the best digital service, but if you do not consider the percentage of usage, it's totally useless. You have something that you can put on a shelf, and that's all. You have to make services useful for citizens. And I think following this comment, I think that Milan's transformation shows that scale is less important than vision and partnership. And so, as you asked me, cities in the global south can leapfrog if AI is human-centered and locally adapted. And so they can jump over, the development that other countries and cities have already done. And so this is from the south point of view. From the north point of view, from the global north, as you mentioned, I think that we have a clear responsibility towards those of the global south. We need to think about friendship relations between cities that center on technology transfer. One of the projects I am most proud of at the very beginning of my mandate in the municipality of Milan was something I called digital bridges. I knew that Milan at that time, 2016, was already one of the most advanced technological city in the country, but we were far away from other cities like Barcelona, like Helsinki, like London, for something like New York. And so one of my first projects was to set up digital bridges in order to share experiences and in order to learn. We were good at doing something, and so we could share our expertise, but we were probably facing some problems. And so sharing experiences also prevent others from making the same problem, the same mistakes. So this is my view.
Well, that's very, very helpful for our audience. What you're saying is what lessons Global South can learn is be citizen-centric, do a public-private partnership, have digital inclusion, and then have a digital bridge is something that you've done to share experiences with the Global South or even with the Global North that you did for Milan. So for cities that are listening, I think those are fantastic recommendations from Roberta. Roberta, finally, you've implemented large-scale digital transformations. What are some of if you can just briefly talk about some of the biggest practical challenges in implementing AI governance and how can they be overcome?
There are many. First of one, something that I experienced Myself, institutional silos. When I began in the municipality of Milan, my first digital project was a project of interoperability, because I had to put all the data together. And I found that in Milan, just in one city, we had 282 different databases not connected at all. So first of all, institutional silos. You have to tackle and overcome that specific problem. Skill gaps within the institution. It's very important to hire the right people with the right skills, not to have everything developed inside the public sector, but to have the people that can drive and manage the right technological transformation. And the third is lack of accountability. We have to be very careful using technology, especially AI, because you do not have to delegate accountability. You have to use technology as an enabler. You have to use technology as a lever of your expertise and connect it to the vision you have, but you can't delegate accountability. The human supervisor should be always kept in mind. So you have to be on the point, and you have to define who is the driver of the project, how you can check the project advancement. You have to define which are the success metrics, and so on. Technology is an amazing partner, but it's a partner. That's my personal view.
No, that's very helpful. So from what your experiences, some of the governance challenges are the silos within the organization, the talent skill gap that exists in some cases, that are there within the organization, and then obviously accountability of responsibility and not, delegating that accountability. So that, I think, is a great lesson for some of those folks who are listening in terms of lessons learned and challenges in governance, working in cities, taking lessons from Europe, from Italy or from Milan. I think this has been fantastic. Roberta, towards the end, we have a lightning round of questions where we are looking for one-word answers from you. Are you ready? Okay.
I try.
Well, let's give it a shot. Roberta, current EU AI Act, is it sufficient or is it incomplete?
In progress.
Okay. According to you, AI governance priority, what should be the AI governance priority? Should it be innovation or protection?
Protection.
Okay. What is the best regulatory approach? Prescriptive or adaptive?
Adaptive.
Okay. Citizen participation in AI governance, is it essential or optional?
Essential.
And finally, Robert, I think you answered that, but we'll try it. Private sector role within governance in AI policies, are they partners or are they a subject?
Partner.
Okay. And AI transparency requirements, are they mandatory or voluntary?
Mandatory.
Fantastic. Roberta, this has been really an absolutely fascinating conversation. Your unique journey from corporate leadership to public service to academia and now private equity, provides exactly the kind of multifaceted perspective that AI governance desperately needs. And to our listeners working in AI policy, Roberta's experience provides valuable insights into how governance frameworks can be both protective and enabling. And for AI entrepreneurs and civil society leaders, Roberta's approach demonstrates the importance of engaging with the democratic process and ensuring that technological progress serves all of mankind and all of humanity to flourish. Thank you all for joining us on the Regulating AI podcast, and Roberta, for your continued work on advancing responsible digital transformation. For our listeners, for more episodes and resources on AI policy and regulation, visit our website. And if you found this conversation valuable, please subscribe and share with others and like to make AI more beneficial and trustworthy for all. Roberta, thank you so much. This was very, very helpful and informative for me and for our listeners.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.